All right, 6 o'clock, let's get going. Call work session to order. Items for review and discussion. Item A, Code of Ordinances, Section 2-838, repealed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As you will recall, previously, city staff had prepared an ordinance to modify the code to implement the changes from the election regarding the police chief, changing that from elected to appointed. During review, we realized that we missed one section, and so this is updating that to track with that election.
Any questions? Go ahead.
We used to have, like, I'm assuming all these codes that they modified, we used to have, like, was it the city collector? It used to be an elected position. I'm assuming we wiped all those out and all this stuff too then, haven't we?
Yes, I think you had wiped most of those out previously when you changed to a charter. There was a provision in the charter that said that all ordinances that did not track with the charter when it was adopted were to be amended and removed, and I believe that's already occurred.
All right, thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to ask the rationale. Then apparently when we had an elected police chief, then we had to put in an ordinance to say he couldn't work two places at once. But now that we have an appointed one, then we don't need that? Is that?
Yes, most of the provisions, this exact section was to essentially implement provisions of Missouri's conflict of interest law. And so now that he's no longer an elected official, some of those provisions no longer apply.
Okay.
And so we thought that it would be smart to remove them.
Okay.
Anybody else? Item B, Code of Ordinances, Section 13-623, repealed.
This section of the ordinance refers to, is entitled Communications Equipment in Motor Vehicles, and it talks about an ordinance in which somebody, they want to monitor police communications, would have to have a permit. What brought this issue to us was someone came in to look for that permit. It's not needed anymore because the current radio system is encrypted, it's digital, and therefore even to own the equipment would be lots of money for an end user to monitor police communications. And so this ordinance is no longer needed because of the updated radio system and the fact that it's encrypted, and there's no way for somebody to try and even monitor it.
Any questions? Seeing none. Item C, Police Towing Contract.
We have constructed or drafted a request for bids that'll go out tomorrow morning on our website. We're looking for bids for tow services, and we're looking to get those by Monday, January 3rd at 4 o'clock. And this is for towing services, 24 hours, 365, 7 days a week, including holidays. These are typically services that are used by citizens involved in accidents or broken down on the roadway that we come across. On occasion, there would be some city use of this contract with regards to maybe public works vehicles or police vehicles that are broken down. We're looking for several different things in regards to the bid for some standardized services that we've identified. And then the other thing is our preference in regards to this is that we have a local tow lot where our citizens can go here locally within the boundaries of Belton and find those find their vehicle at the tow lot.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Chief, how does that tie in with, like, somebody has AAA or the insurance that tows it for that? They take priority over the city one? Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah, they can have their own preference in regards to towing and use their AAA, or they could use this service. I know, for instance, my insurance company, if I towed the vehicle with a city tow under this contract, they would reimburse that later on.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
You had mentioned it's going to go on the website. Do you also plan to use other avenues that tow truck companies might be looking for, like newspapers or?
I have several of them that have reached out to me and left messages, and I'll be calling those back, telling them that's out there. Whatever the city does as far as putting those out, I'll follow the rules.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
You said, I think, Chief, that you're looking for local tow lots. Is that all in Belton or is that in the vicinity?
What we're asking for is the location of their tow lot.
Okay.
But our preference for, is that we would have one here locally within the city limits.
And do we have, someone told me that we don't allow more tow lots in our community. I don't know who would answer that one.
That'd be more of a codes issue.
Is there anything like that in our code issue, Dave, that says we can't have any more tow lots?
No, sir. It's subject to zoning approval. But
Zoning
There's no
approval.
prohibition on the number.
Is that commercial or is that zoned differently?
A tow lot has to be in an industrial zoning classification.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, item D, intergov dash munis. Munis.
Next, at the next meeting, staff will be bringing a contract for a new ERP system, which is an enterprise resource planning system. This program would speed up permitting. It would allow citizens to report and follow the progress on code enforcement issues, and it would also help prevent duplication between departments for financial reporting. It would integrate the city, and it has two different products. One is Intergov, and that product does the permitting, licensing, and asset management, and it has a citizen portal and mobile solutions, and it also allows for electronic review of plans. And basically, it will revolutionize and help us be much more customer service friendly and responsive to businesses and also to citizens. On the Munis part, it's the financial software. It's financials, HR, like payroll, benefits. Then also there are civic services like business licensing, and it's connected to Intergov. It's also going to be all entirely cloud-based, just like Navaline is now. That will, it basically saves our IT staff time, and then they also promise that they're prepared for disaster recovery and can get us back up within a couple of hours if ever anything happens. In addition to that, we are looking at using a company called Koa Hills. They are consultants. They will do an archive of all of our Navaline information that we have now. The city has been on Navaline since 2000, so we have a lot of data in there. They can actually do an archive and make it so that we can access that in the same format that Intergov and Munis are. And the benefit of that is that all future employees, new employees, don't have to learn two systems. They'll be able to pull up that past history if they ever need to, and they'll be able to do it in the same format that they are learning for the new software. And also, they will help with implementation, manage that, and make that process really, really smooth. This overall will take up to 3 years. The plan is to first go with Intergov, and that is really for the customer service part, also financials, and then we would put utility billing and the human capital management modules in place after financials and Intergov.
Any questions? Go ahead.
I guess I'm going to ask, I mean, this is something different than the other system we're installing for January 1?
So that is Paymentus. It's
Okay.
because Central Square, or I will call it Navaline also, they are discontinuing one of their modules, which was called Transaction Manager. Paymentus actually works both with Navaline that we have now, and it will also work with Tyler's Munis. So, but yes,
I just
it's
saw a
different.
post that we put out there on Facebook saying that people got to go in January and update their EFT or ACH, how you want to present it for next year. And I guess my question is how lenient are we gonna be on that kind of stuff? Because I mean, if not everybody's on Facebook. Are we putting stuff in water bills, and are we,
We're actually sending a letter to every single auto pay customer. So a letter has went out addressed to each individual auto pay customer. Also, there are a lot of times that people say, I don't open my mail. So we also are alerting people via social media. And for leniency, if somebody has signed up for auto pay, they don't get it changed, I'm going to say that's a city error. And so we would reverse the late payment once they contacted us and said, oh, this happened. We'll also be monitoring it. I can't remember how many, we sent out a stack, but we'll be monitoring it also. If we see it and notice it and they didn't update it, we'll do our best to provide the best customer service.
do we have a high percentage of people that are on auto pay?
We don't have a high percentage, Stephanie.
She's behind you.
How many customers did we send letters to? Do you remember?
We initially just sent letters to credit card customers because we haven't confirmed with Central Square that the checking savings people will not roll. We sent out about 550 letters that are credit card auto pay only.
And we
Really?
have about 72 to 7,600 customers.
Yeah, I figured,
And she said 550 on auto pay?
figured it'd be more than that.
Good.
We have about another 500 that are auto pay through their checking or savings. So those letters will go out as soon as, if we determine that they will not roll automatically, those letters will go out to them as soon as possible. We should know that in a couple days. And then there will also be a bill insert in January.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? I'm surprised that number's so low.
I think it's not, what we had wasn't the most user friendly, and I think that Paymentus will actually increase those numbers because it will be a lot more user friendly.
It is kind of difficult, I will add.
So with this new system, could someone actually get in there and make payment on their own through the system then?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Seeing none. E, grant management policy.
So at the next meeting, and I think we included it in the packet, but the uniform guidance requires that the city has a policy that is specific to federal awards. And so that is going to comply with that requirement.
Yes.
Just one very minor point, that there's that link that's in there doesn't work. I don't know where it's supposed to go, but it's supposed to show something or.
Did you try to click on the link?
Yeah. that's all.
Well, that's because, Andrea, did you do a PDF?
Oh, no, well, it's on page 19. Again, it's minor issue, should not even.
Yeah. We'll make sure it works for the policy itself.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any questions? Seeing none. F, Santec street rating method.
I was asked to give a short presentation, and trust me, be short this week. I know I talked a long time last time, right?
Yeah,
About
so-
Stantec.
So you're on the clock.
I'm on the clock. Let's see how I do. So Stantec is the company that we hired to do pavement rating. There's a lot of companies that do it, and they all use basically one or two methods. They all use a van, and this is one of their vans that they use and to do it. And it has equipment on the front bumper. It actually has equipment on the wheels, equipment on the roof, and equipment that goes behind the vehicle. And this equipment does several different things. They have ways to track the lanes, so it tracks where they're at, the cracks that are along that direction. It has a camera that takes pictures as they go along. They tag all the data using GPS, and then they have downward sensors that are measuring distresses as they go down the road. Basically, they're looking for a lot for cracks, this machine does. It uses lasers to do it, and it's looking for moderate to severe cracking. It has lasers in the back. So there's two types of machines that go down the road. MoDOT uses one that's called an ARAN van that uses and looks at pixels by pixels, looking for light and dark. There's a huge drawback in that when it hits crack sealing, it thinks that crack sealing material is actually a hole in the road, or if someone throws paint or something else on the road, it detects it as an irregularity. This uses lasers, so it's actually shooting lasers down in the cracks. It can tell how deep the cracks are and where the cracks are at in the road. So it actually gives a very, very detailed description of where the road, the condition of the road. Now, I got this short video I'm going to show you because the next piece of it is a thing called a falling weight deflectometer. This is another company that does it. And in this video, it shows you how it actually works. And it's really kind of a neat thing. This is mounted on a trailer, and it has the sensors that go down and touch the pavement. They stop the vehicle, and it goes down and touches the pavement. And they'll get to here in just a second. This shows you on the trailer. They're going to open it up so you can see it. And so the vehicle actually stops, and then the bottom portion comes down. You see it go down here in just a second. And when it goes down, it has all these sensors from right where the weights are in the back all the way up to the front of the vehicle, as you can see there. What this falling weight deflectometer does, it actually drops the weight down onto the ground, onto the pavement several times, and then the pavement actually makes waves. So it'll make a wave out from where it's at. The better the pavement, the smaller the wave. And then it just measures the deflections in the pavement. From that, you can tell how good the base of the pavement is. So the first thing you saw with the lasers measures the surface to see if there's surface problems. This now goes into the base, about a foot down, telling you what is that base like for what we're looking at. And this is the type of piece of equipment they had. And they went all over the city and they do it. And they just stop at a location, they drop it, they get their sensor readings, they go to the next one, drop it and go. So when they do it, they end up with those two things. They end up with all the distresses of the pavement. So on the left side is all the distresses of asphalt pavement. On the right side is the distresses in concrete. I'm not going to read them to you. You can see them. Then they go through and they take all those distresses and they come up with all these moduluses. Now you're getting to engineering, so I'm not going to bother you too much with it. But it has like the subgrade resilience module. They have the effective pavement modulus. And they take this and they use wonderful equations. And if you remember, if you ever took calculus, it's a wonderful class. And they pump it through all these different integrations and they come up with actually what the pavement condition is. And they go through all this thing and they end up telling you how much is cracking, how bad your pavements are, and they assign a number to it. The last thing they use is ground penetrating radar. So if you ever watch any of the TV shows that the guys are looking for hidden treasures, this is one thing that they use, and they pull it across the ground and they look for irregularities in it. And so you end up with a graph like this, and you say, well, what good is this? These lines are supposed to be basically straight across. But you see in the top yellow line where there's dips in it, that means there's something wrong in there, and that's further down into the base. So they use ground penetrating radar to say your problem's not in the surface, it's not in the base, it's actually deeper is what you're going to have to work on. So they take all this information and they make this chart, and it has actually on the right side is the actual picture of the pavement. It's hard to tell on this slide that I have. The right side is the picture looking down the road. Then they have all the information that they got, and they put it together, and that's how they give it to us, and we know why do we just pave 2 inches some places, we pave 8 inches other places, and other places we're digging the dirt out from underneath the road. This equipment tells us what we need to do. And so we did it once, it gave us a PCI rating. And so now after we do the next year, we're going to do it again. And it starts developing a curve so we know how that road reacts. So we have an idea, hey, this road's going to last a long time. We can wait longer to resurface it. This road's got a curve that's going down fast. We either need to fix it or resurface early to keep it in good condition longer. But this is the information we have. I'm happy to answer any question you have about how we do it.
Any questions?
Greg, do they hit every road in the town, in the city?
Yes, basically they hit every road.
How long does that take to do that?
is not as long as you think. Now, the falling weight deflectometer, they do on similar sections, so they don't have to do it on every like block. So they're doing it on similar ones. I think they did it in less than a month. I mean, because you're just literally just driving around.
And all that's under one contract with Stantec, right? I mean,
Right, we
all
did
those
it-
different companies are.
There was one company came and did it all, and we'll put it out to bid and have someone do it again.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Item G, treatment plant UV light repair.
So at our treatment plant, this is the last phase, the last treatment in our facility before the water goes back to the creek. And at that, there's, you can see there's two sets of grates there, two metal boxes. As the water's passing out, the last thing we do is treat it with UV light to make sure that anything that could not have been treated, that might have lived through the system, will be treated with UV light and be killed before it hits the creek. We're going out for bid for a contract right now, and in January we'll be bringing the contract to you for approval.
Any questions?
Are we meeting our permits with, I guess if you need one to repair, you have one down, right? Or we,
Oh, no,
How we dealing?
it's just small repairs as we go, but it's so specialized that it's going to take someone with a contract, and we want to make sure we have under contract. So
Oh,
as we go
okay.
forward, that we always have someone to go to do the
so
work.
nothing's broken right now.
Not right now.
Good, good.
Go ahead.
Greg, this doesn't have anything to do with this, but a couple months ago, we approved like a study for a sewer. Is there a timetable on when that's gonna come through?
The regionalization.
Our regionalization,
Yeah,
we're actually about 3/4 of the way through that study right now, and we're trying to work with DNR with all the money and the infrastructure bill that got passed to see if they're willing to put money to it and how we make it all work, because there's a lot of moving pieces with it. But we should be wrapping that up in the next few months.
all right, thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll adjourn the work session and call the regular meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance, Councilmember Peak. Roll call, please.
Mayor Lorky,
Here.
Councilmember Savage, Councilmember Powell,
Here,
Councilmember Trutzel,
Here.
Councilmember Kraft,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here,
Councilmember Goff,
Here.
Councilmember Lawson,
Here.
Councilmember Peak. Here.
Thank you. Personal appearances. A, Julie Porter. You want to read it? No, I'll read it. Blue Springs Deputy City Clerk to present the IIMC Certified Municipal Clerk Certification to Andrea Cunningham, Belton City Clerk.
Is this on? Do I have to turn it on? Okay. Perfect. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council, City Council. My name is Julia Porter, and I'm the Deputy City Clerk for the City of Blue Springs. I'm here on behalf of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks and the Missouri City Clerk and Finance Officer Association to recognize your City Clerk, Andrea Cunningham, for her earning her Certified Municipal Clerk certification in October of 2021. There are only 78 certified municipal clerks in the state of Missouri and only about 4,600 in the world. Andrea began her clerk's educational journey by joining the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association in the Western Division in 2014. After attending many dedicated hours of educational sessions over the next several years, she has also obtained her Missouri Registered City Clerk continuing certification earlier this year. Andrea has worked very hard to attain her Certified Municipal Clerk certification. In order to obtain the CMC certification, Andrea had to complete over 100 hours of educational training and related experience, which included attending many annual conferences, regional trainings, Athenian dialogues, and webinars. Andrea is to be commended for her dedication and desire in achieving this goal. Additionally, you, the elected officials, are to be commended for your continued support of Andrea as she has worked toward this certification. It clearly demonstrates that you recognize the knowledge that she receives from attending these conferences and seminars is of great benefit to you, to your city staff, and to your citizens. Please join me in recognizing Andrea for her hard-earned achievement of her CMC certification and as she continues her commitment to her career as city clerk and to the citizens of Belton. Congrats.
Speech, speech, speech.
I didn't have time to write that proclamation.
Thank you. All right, consent agenda. One motion, non-debatable, to approve the recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Regular agenda. A motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-72.
An ordinance authorizing the taxable industrial revenue bonds NP Southview Industrial Building 4 LLC project, Series 2021, related to an industrial development project in the city, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson. Yes. Trutzel,
Aye.
Powell,
No?
Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Peak. Kraft.
Aye.
Motion carries. B, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-73.
An ordinance approving the Sixth Amendment to the Old Town Belton redevelopment plan to approve the 414 Main Street project as redevelopment project 2021-6 and to authorize tax abatement as described therein.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Powell,
Yes?
Kraft,
Aye.
Trutzel,
Aye.
Lawson, Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Peak.
Motion carries. C, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-74.
An ordinance approving the Seventh Amendment to the Old Town Belton redevelopment plan to approve the 511 Main Street project as redevelopment project 2021-7 and to authorize tax abatement as described therein.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Lawson. Yes. Powell,
Yes?
Trutzel,
Aye.
Peak. Clark,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey.
Aye. Motion carries. D, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-75.
An ordinance calling an election to authorize the issuance of waterworks revenue bonds and extend the capital improvement sales tax in the city of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and 2 seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Peak. Aye. Powell,
Yes?
Trutzel,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Lawson, Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
Kraft.
Aye.
Motion carries. E, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-76.
An ordinance of the City of Belton amending Chapter 4, Animals, of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
Councilmember Goff,
Aye.
Peak. Kraft,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Lawson, Powell,
Aye.
Trutzel.
Aye.
Motion carries. E, or F, motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-77.
An ordinance approving the clinical affiliation agreement between the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Medicine and the City of Belton Fire Department.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
Councilmember Peak. Aye. Trutzel,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Lawson, Powell,
Aye.
Kraft.
Aye.
Motion carries. G, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-79.
An ordinance approving the reappropriation and revision of the City of Belton fiscal year 2022 adopted city budget for the purpose of completing Belton Senior Center facility improvements and approving the contract for service with Heron Contracting LLC.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson. Trutzel,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Peak, Kraft.
Aye.
Motion carries. H, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-80.
An ordinance approving a final plat for Bronson Manor, a tract of land in the northeast quarter of Section 7, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, in the city of Belton, Cass County, Missouri, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign the plat for recording with the Cass County Recorder's Office.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
only that I'll say, we speed through these so well because of the work sessions you do, and we get it all explained to us so well in advance that it would appear we don't have questions, but it's all been answered in the previous work sessions we had, which is very helpful.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
Councilmember Lawson. Trutzel,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Peak, Kraft.
Aye.
Motion carries. I, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-81.
An ordinance approving a final plat for Tradition's Sixth Plat, a tract of land in the southwest quarter of Section 18, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, in the city of Belton, Cass County, Missouri, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign the plat for recording with the Cass County Recorder's Office.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
Councilmember Powell,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Trutzel,
Aye.
Lawson, Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Peak.
Motion carries. J, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2021-82.
An ordinance calling an election on a use tax question in the city of Belton, Missouri.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or information?
I just want to say that at the dais, I left for you guys 3 graphs, just kind of showing you the trend over the last several years of retail sales in brick and mortar stores versus online. And you can see from those graphs, the first one is showing how the e-commerce sales started overtaking brick and mortar sales. You can see that brick and mortar sales aren't really declining a lot, but they are slightly declining while retail or e-commerce sales continue increasing. There is a little weird thing that happened during COVID, when everything was shut down. You can see how there was a larger dip in brick and mortar sales when everything was closed, and then a higher increase in online sales during that time period. The next graph it's just a graph kind of showing you how the blue and the orange together, those are the total retail sales, and then the orange part is the e-commerce portion of retail sales. And then that third graph is just showing you the speed in which retail stores are growing in blue and the speed in which e-commerce sales are growing in orange.
I don't know if you said it, but I'll add on the bar graph, the percentage at the top is for the e-commerce sale. I don't know if you said that or not, but.
And these are the trends. I don't see them reversing anytime in the future. I just see it continuing to trend on. And
Councilmember Kraft.
So my concern on this is the citizen trust. I feel like we're going to have a really big buy-in here, and with it not specifying what it could be used for, that citizens, I don't feel like, trust us all yet. Half of us are here, well, over half of us are here because there wasn't trust. And I mean, we need this use tax to pass. So I was wondering what people's thoughts were on maybe having a oversight committee for this.
I would be in favor of that. Anybody else on her?
I just have a question, kind of related. Well, one time it failed, and now, can the city legally push this? I mean, we can put it on the ballot, but can we actually push or say that we're positive? I mean, we can, but I mean the city itself. Can we
The city,
advertise?
the city can educate voters.
Okay.
The city cannot promote or,
Cannot promote, but can educate. Okay.
But you as an elected
Educate.
official can tell them
Yeah, that's fine.
however you want to do.
Yeah, and I then going back to when it lost, did we learn anything from that as to how we educated? And that would lead to what she was asking, I think. Do you think we did anything wrong, or just that
it's my recollection that that city staff, I mean, that we just put the question out
I
there.
don't think we educated them, the voters.
Okay,
I'm
so
not sure.
this time we will educate.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't
Councilmember Clark.
remember.
Well, one of the, at the Chamber of Commerce luncheons today, I talked to a guy from North Point, and he brought up a stat that he says in the next, I think he said by 2050, which is 30 years from now, 2040, which is 18 years from now, that 50% of the sales are going to be online. And we've already seen that 20% of sales are went online. And one of the things that I tell people all the time, I don't like taxes, and that's a true statement. But I'm paying this tax here locally, and we have to be able to fund a city. I mean, people expect us to have police and fire. People expect to have streets. I mean, we got to have tax money coming in to fund all this stuff. So if we're at 50% sales tax, we're losing because of online sales. I mean, we're not going to have a city in 20 years. So the citizens got to understand that this is not a new tax. All we're trying to do is, I mean, they shopping at a new store. They're shopping online. And this gentleman today said that when he was talking to me and the mayor, that they can't build these buildings fast enough for these distributions and these warehouses to go into, and all they're doing is like Chewy.com, they're shipping out. Instead of you going to PetSmart or Petland and buying it, they're shipping it out. So that is the future, and we got to generate revenue to pay for our services. So it's great to have an oversight, but I don't want to sit here and limit us to only be able to use it for water, or only being able to use it for roads, or only being able to use it for a specific item. I think for the general purposes of the city of Belton, I would be greatly looking at, but I think to have an oversight like we do police and fire that says it can only be used for certain items, I think that's where I'm not 100% on the oversight side, but if it's for making sure we're using that tax money for the benefit of Belton citizens, then yes.
I do agree with that, Dave. Absolutely, it needs to be the betterment of the city, not specific item.
Councilmember Trutzel.
I would say, we didn't do a very good job of educating people last time we did this. It's, the key thing about that is, and it's in our paperwork right here, the purchasers, whenever you buy something from an outside source, outside in Kansas, Iowa, wherever, and it gets shipped in here, you're not being paid twice on the tax. You'll be paying the same tax as if you bought it down here at Menards or someplace here in town, Target. It's the same tax that you would pay in our own city, that if you buy it from out of Missouri or out in the area, not in Belton, you'd be paying an additional tax, or not paying the tax there. So it's kind of a wash, and it's really you're really working against the local businesses in town. And I order things online, and when it gets down to the bottom line, if it says I owe tax, then I pay the tax. And we need to be able to say, we have an obligation to take care of what's in town here. And again, it's not a dual tax, it's a one-time tax that you would pay here or you pay it there. It just levels the playing field, and you're actually not penalizing the local businesses in town when you buy it out of town.
Councilmember Go.
Councilwoman Kraft is right, I believe. People distrust, and you vote for taxes, and then you never hear about where it went and what happened to it. Next thing you know, you're being asked to vote for another tax, and there's a distrust there. You can have an oversight and not specifically have it to one item. You could break it down to percentages, so much for parks and recs, so much for streets, so much for, and then have an oversight to report that back to the citizens, where that, how that was divvied up and how much we got last year from those kind of sales. That would certainly make people more willing to probably vote for it.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate what most people have said on the council. There's the dual responsibility here with the city to educate about why this is just like an extension of a traditional sales tax, and it's going to be a necessity going forward to fund the city. The rest of us up here on the dais have a responsibility to advocate for this because we understand this is a necessary method to fund the city going forward. An oversight committee, we've had one of those for the public safety sales tax. And that has done what it was designed to do. We have citizens who attend these meetings and look at the receipts basically and say, yes, this money is going where we wanted it to, and that's all very good. One thing I'll just mention with this list of projects here, there are some really enticing and exciting services that citizens would be excited about, and then there's some less exciting but essentially just very, very necessary and vital infrastructure needs on the list. Getting nerdy into it because I'm the park board liaison and I've had a chance to learn a little bit. We have what is an administrative parks board. Any money that we dedicate to the parks is restricted funds. So right now how this list is set up, it's sort of an informal list of things that we would want to get done. Looking at this list and expecting about $1.5 million annually, this could be 5 to 10 years worth of work, right? And so then the responsibility falls on us, the council, right, to make sure that we are allocating these dollars to achieve these projects. Because again, this is essentially an informal list of things that we would want. So just speaking up and looking at it from all angles, there's attention to allow staff some flexibility to fund the city needs as they come up. And there's some tension and, responsibility to deliver to citizens these really exciting things like a splash pad or improvements at Cleveland Lake. So I'm repeating a lot of what's already been said, but just maybe adding some additional context that this is a necessity for the city. It offers some exciting new opportunities, but this is something we're going to need over time, and I hope citizens will pay attention to that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Councilmember Powell.
Well, I would just say in educating, the emphasis that would make the most sense to me would be on what we get for the tax, because there's still a lot of people that buy online specifically to get around the tax. I know because I used to be one. So, I mean, it's always a game. You press and you see what the tax is going to be depending on where you bought the thing. So, I definitely think this is a good idea, and the oversight is a good idea. I just think that in the education, some people are just they don't want another tax, but if they see the benefits, I think that's the way to impress them or pull them in.
Councilmember Peak.
The use tax, of course, I thought it was important before when we put it out there, and it's still very important, especially with the information of the 50% in online sales, because I know we probably all order a lot of things online. With regards to the oversight committee, we have to be careful, because if we say that we're going to put 25% towards the park and 25% towards or whatever, that's locked in. So if something happens down the road and this money isn't coming in and we really need it over here, we're not going to be able to change that. So I think we need to be really careful. An oversight committee, I think maybe to talk about the different things and to make sure that, we're listening to the constituents and looking at it that way. But as far as actually putting a percentage of this, of whatever we get in, I don't think that would be a very good idea, because then we're locked in. I know the park needs money, I know golf needs money, all the departments need money. I think we should be able to allot it as we see, as it's coming in for either that particular year
lock in percentages that maybe you can't change down the road.
You know, listen to everybody, you know, I'm 100% in support of this. I think it's much needed for the future of the city to be able to function, you know, to keep the doors open. I understand about the oversight committee. I think it'd be good for the citizens to have that. Now, I think we need to work on it. I think the adjustment that you two made a while ago would work perfect. I don't think that we can limit the spending, as Councilmember Peak said. I think we'll need it to be flexible in 5-10 years because of the online growth, online purchase, and then we'll need it to keep the doors open. So I would be in support of an oversight committee to make sure that we're spending it wisely, but not. I don't think that we can focus putting 25% here and 25% there. I think we need to stay away from that because of what's going to come in the future, and I don't want to tie future council's hands to that. So, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just interject a part on the education that the city did last time. So we did a lot of Facebook. We also had something go out in the water bill. We also had a public forum right here in this room that we also Facebook lived. And I think something that could have gone better last time, like Sheila said, we can educate, but at that public forum, we only had 3 city council people show up. And I think it would be important if we were to do something like that again, to have.
Absolutely.
More
And
more
that would be
counsel.
my plan, is to do that because we have other issues on the ballot that we need to support as well. So, go ahead.
Can you remind me, when was this last on the ballot?
No, it was 16, I think.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
I believe that it was after the public safety sales tax vote, but I don't remember.
It was right before.
Right before it?
It was right
Okay,
before.
right before that.
Okay. I mean, these graphs are very helpful. I'm a visual person, so to see that online purchase growth in the amount of time since this was last put up to voters, it's pretty telling data. Thank you.
Councilmember Goff.
You're right, Mayor, but you could also keep a percentage of that to be determined at that point too, and still have some earmarked, and at least the people would know where it's going, and you're reporting on where it has been and what it's doing.
Yeah, and I think that oversight committee could do that outside of what we say. You know, I think people would buy into that better than the history that they bought into the council before. So, Councilmember Clark.
I know last time the use tax was on, whatever year that was, I think there was something in the educational piece, if it was passed, that they would drop $17.50 on a water bill. And someone brought that up on Facebook that I did see this past week, and I mean, I don't know exactly why that was thrown in there back in 15, 16 or anything like that, but I mean, I wouldn't, if we can drop that on a water bill, then to get it passed, I mean, I think we can look at it, but you can answer that question for me.
I can. So in 2012, there was a vote on the use tax that was ran with the water and wastewater revenue bonds that were on the ballot at that time. And so the language was, the voter education was that if voters approve these revenue bonds for the water and the wastewater and the use tax passes, the money from the use tax would be used to help pay for some of the principal and interest on those projects. The revenue bonds passed and the use tax failed in 2012, and that was the 2012 election. Then we asked voters 2017, maybe 2018, to pass the use tax again, and it sounds like it failed that year.
Do you know how bad it failed last time?
I don't.
You don't?
I really felt like the education is one thing, but if there are not people out there promoting it,
Exactly. I mean, we gotta know what to promote. And everybody has to know what to promote, so we do need education, so. Anybody else? Any other questions at this time?
Hey,
Go ahead.
When that was asked to pass back then, the use tax, online buying was so small at the time. I think people just thought,
Oh, yeah,
just another tax they're after. But it's going to surpass the retail sales and brick and mortar, and that's going to make it more important.
You can look at that graph and see that it was just about the same, so yeah. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns?
At the next meeting, staff can bring back a resolution for an oversight committee for council to approve.
I think so.
So I just want clarification. We are not offering this time around 17 something off of water bills.
No.
Just wanted that clarified. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I think it's down to, it's not 1750 anymore.
6 something, isn't it?
16?
No, it's like 6, 7.
Between water and sewer combined, maybe it's like is it 16?
I thought water's is 6
I think
something.
it's like 11-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2021-83, an ordinance approving the oh, that's your job. Sorry. So used to reading.
An ordinance approving the 8th Amendment of the Old Town Belton redevelopment plan to approve the 324 Main Street project as redevelopment project 2021-8 and to authorize tax abatement as described therein.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, this has got to be a public hearing. Public hearing regarding the proposed 8th Amendment to the Old Town Belton redevelopment plan for redevelopment project 2021-8 pursuant to section 353.110.3 parentheses 2 RSMO. Anybody here to speak on the public hearing? That would be you. If you want to. Okay. Just making sure. Just making sure. Anybody to speak on the public hearing? Seeing none, public hearing's closed. Any discussion on the motion? Or have we had a motion yet?
Yeah.
Mayor, I could provide a little bit of background if you'd like me to.
Have we done the motion yet?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, I'm just confused.
Okay.
I'm good.
And I did mention it at the work session, but just a little bit more detail. This is redevelopment project 2021-8, and it's 324 Main Street. The total projected cost of the project is $368,500. And the details of the extensive interior and exterior work are on page 139 of your council packet. And the Old Town Belton Redevelopment Corporation Board did consider this application on the 17th, and they recommend approval of the application. And the notice of public hearing went out pursuant to state statute, and the applicant is in attendance this evening.
Any discussion? Go ahead.
I probably would like to compliment the proposal that was brought to us several months before. There's been a lot of activity, a positive activity for improving the area in this area. So that was a good project, a good motion, a good ordinance to put into effect that is showing positive results. So congratulations.
Any other comments, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mayor, I move for a second reading on this.
We have a motion for a second reading
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the motion for a second reading? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion approving the second reading, the final reading of Bill 2021-83.
An ordinance approving the 8th Amendment of the Old Town Belton redevelopment plan to approve the 324 Main Street project as redevelopment project 2021-8 and to authorize tax abatement as described therein.
Present.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead.
I just wanted to make it clear that we're doing this now because our next meeting is January 11th, and they wanted to get started on some of this. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Timing issue is one, yes. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Lawson. Aye. Powell.
Aye.
Trutzel.
Aye.
Peak. Aye. Clark.
Aye.
Kraft.
Aye.
Goff.
Aye.
Mayor Larkey.
Aye. Motion carries. L, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2021-84.
An ordinance amending Appendix B traffic schedules, Table 6, no parking zones as referenced in Chapter 13, Section 13-333 in the Code of Ordinances of the City of Belton, Missouri, to establish a no parking zone along the east side of Speaker Avenue from East 160th Terrace to East 162nd Terrace.
Present. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. City Council Liaison Reports.
I don't have anything new to add for parks since the last time, just it's budget season.
Copy.
No planning commission meetings.
Copy. Mayor's communication, I don't have anything. The only thing I have, I want to thank everybody for the support of me and my wife. She lost her mother last week, so I just want to thank everybody for that support. So, City Manager's report.
Chief Lyons is going to give a COVID-19 update.
We've seen an increase in the number of COVID cases in Cass County, as reported by the Cass County Health Department. Our numbers started climbing back up the week of November 7th through the 11th, and we've steadily increased over that period. Last week, we ended with 281 cases. The last time that this county was at this high rate was back in July, the 18th through the 24th, and then as we were in the middle of August. Right now, as of today, we're standing at 121 cases. This time last week, it was at 90. So it's probably climbing back up due to some of the spread that you've seen in the news.
Sorry, I will add to confirm that in the Little Blue Valley Sewer District, we get a report every week or month or so, and they test the sewage for COVID, and you can see the numbers spiking again. So, and it's all Delta variant so far, according to the last one I saw a couple days ago.
Do you know, or do you know if the communications from the Attorney General and the subsequent shutdown of a lot of Cass County activities on COVID, will it also stop the reporting of these incidents?
I am not sure whether or not what action the county has taken regarding reporting of these events.
Chief Sapp, you're next.
Had a question referencing open burning. I assumed you meant during the high wind events. Yeah, so the Fire Prevention Office had already issued a burn ban earlier today that we posted on Facebook. That's an allowable thing under the code that we can determine what conditions would be unsafe for burning. And so with the dry vegetation and the high winds, at this point, they're extending that through Thursday, but we'll always be reevaluating that and extending it as needed.
I think the citizens' questions were what specifically are a part of that burn ban. They were asking about leaves and...
Well, we can't burn leaves anyway. That's
Okay.
already, yeah. And so I can refer back to the presentation that we gave that basically that there are a couple ways for open burning without permits in the city of Belton. One is in commercial devices like chimneys and metal burn pits and things like that. And then the other is by simply making either your own in-ground pit or even a campfire ring. But in any of those, the only thing you can burn is just limbs, no leaves, no trash or anything like that, no treated woods. And so that still stands, but right now the burn ban would include any open burning, including in pits and chimneys.
Wonderful, thank you. And then we also had a question about why the city can't fix bikes up that that we recover as stolen property and give them away. Those bikes become the city's personal property, and Section 2-991 of the Code of Ordinances says that all personal property, the sale of personal property must be by competitive bid. And also Article 6, Section 23 of the state constitution says that no city can grant public money or anything of value to any private entity. And so whenever things aren't claimed, we bundle them together and then auction them off at by competitive bid or competitive sale. Oh, and then finally, I just wanted to tell you guys, the next meeting, Judge Nigro is going to come and he's going to talk to you about the possibility of a mental health court. This would be an avenue that maybe somebody that did criminal activity, but it was because they really believed that they were doing the right thing. They would be able to go a different avenue and get treatment at the same time. And he's going to come and talk to you guys about that. Also, at a request, Chief Lyons is actually researching to see if we can get a grant and to work with Compass Health to hire a social worker that would be a co-responder for crisis intervention. And that is not going to be a quick process, but it's going to be a thorough process. And so I just wanted to let you guys know staff is working on that, and you probably won't hear anything, maybe a couple of updates that are quick, but it will probably take till next year this time. And hopefully we'll be able to have funding and a position in the following year's budget.
Anything else? City Council communications. Anybody? Go ahead.
Two quick things. I think we should congratulate Andrea again on another certification. That's very cool. Yeah. And it is our city attorney's birthday. Patrick, thanks for celebrating your birthday here with us tonight.
Where's the birthday cake?
Yeah, where's the cake at?
It's sitting in my refrigerator at home. My wife picked it up on her way back from work today.
Anybody else? Oh, sorry. I said it and looked this way.
Kind of a question for Chief Lyons and, of course, Chief Sack. We've all seen the news with regards to the tornadoes that went through Kentucky and every place else. And I know we have emergency management. I know we can never be 100% ready. But with what has been seen and what has been done, how's our emergency management looking at this, maybe making a change or still waiting for more information as to how we would handle some, let's pray nothing ever happens like that here, but if it should.
Here recently, we actually purchased a program that goes on to our current emergency software where our sirens are automatically turned on by the National Weather Service. And so we'll be doing more of a presentation as we get into the storm season this spring. But along with that, we will be doing some exercises, tabletop exercises on how we respond after it has actually happened. And so I think our system's getting a lot better. It's a lot more robust and vigorous. And we actually have a maintenance contract that's proved out to be an awesome purchase this year for the emergency management, because we've also identified several different problems. In fact, one that could have been catastrophic we're fixing right now well ahead of when it would have failed. And so I think that the new software integration with the National Weather Service was a great add because our messaging is going to change in regards to that to you should follow the National Weather Service when you hear those sirens. And we're continuing to look at a couple other add-ons to that to make it more user-friendly for citizens when it goes off too.
Anybody else? Motion to enter an executive session to discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.1 and to discuss matters pertaining to negotiated contracts according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.12 and that the record be closed and the meeting adjourned from there. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Peak? Aye. Powell? Aye. Trutzel?
Aye.
Goff?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Lawson? Aye. Mayor Larkey?
Aye.
Kraft?
Aye.
Motion carries.